about the past year or so, maybe even a little bit more, and that is religion. I grew up in a Christian school, and at the time I was not the slightest bit religious, nor did I even know what that really was. I used to sit in a hall filled with other kids, that, from the surface, a lot of them had a pretty good life, right? Obviously, everyone has their hardships in their life, but to me, a lot of the kids that were in my class, were in this hall, had a very nice life. And me being a kid at the time, I was like, well, I definitely don't have a nice life. Or it was like, I didn't understand why I had the life I had, and I thought that maybe if everyone did have the life I had, why are they handling it so much better than me and stuff like that. As I got older, I realised that being religious is nothing really to do with that at all. You know, you don't just become religious and your life just becomes amazing. That's not really how it works. But obviously, as a kid, that's what I thought. I prayed a lot of times I prayed to God as like a genie, right? That would grant me wishes, kind of thing, as a kid. And so, as a kid, it sort of put me off, because obviously these wishes weren't granted. And so, whenever anyone would ask me, "Are you religious?" or something like that, later on in life, I'd be like, "Hell no, like definitely not." And I was kind of repulsed by it. As I've gotten older, I've started to realise that I was wrong a lot as a kid, in a lot of ways, as most of us are, right? You don't know it all when you come out the womb, right? But when you grow up and you learn things for yourself, you start to become wiser, a bit smarter, and understand things in ways you wouldn't as a kid. And what I've learned in the past maybe 2 or 3 years is that a lot of the stuff that a lot of religious texts teach, I think the majority of us, at the core of it, could probably agree, right, that these are good things. Right? Don't give in to temptation. Don't be greedy. Don't have loads of sex. Don't drink a lot. Morality. Trying to think of actual core things. I'm just rambling things off. But don't be greedy. Don't kill people. Don't be mean. Things like that. Like, obviously that's not how any religious text puts it. That's just me rambling them off. But I feel like a majority of people can agree, like, that is what we go by, right? Yet, when we talk about religious texts, whether it be the Bible, the Quran, whatever, we're kind of repulsed. A lot of people are repulsed by that. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. That's rubbish. And it's kind of strange, right? Something that we can all really agree upon that are in these texts. Obviously, not everything within these texts that we all agree on, but a good majority of us can agree on a lot of things within these religious texts. And yet, majority of us are repulsed by it. It's kind of weird. And I guess there's loads of reasons why someone would be looked down upon these things, just as I did as a kid. Just give a chance to someone that is actually talking about religion and listen and actually hear their arguments and hear their things. You're not always going to be sold, but sometimes you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know what? I had no clue as a kid. I was getting read the Bible and I'm thinking, what is this guy talking about? Like, this guy is just yapping away. And now I'm going through the Bible now and I'm thinking, oh, okay, like, this Bible is a lot. But if you actually take it piece by piece, And there's certain things that like I didn't realize, like the Bible's not the only thing that mentions Jesus, right? There's like loads of other ones that mention this guy, Jesus, and all this other things. Me thinking it's just like one person that read the Bible and that was it. No, that's not how it worked. It was an abundance of people, but also there was loads of people um, outside of that world, if you will, that heard about him and things like that. So, like when you say Jesus is a person, like you can historically track him back to be a person that lived is crazy, right? A lot of people don't know that. I don't think a lot of people know that. Like you can actually track him back. He was a person that lived. If whatever he was he a normal person? Was he doing trickery? Was he fooling people? Was he actually God? All this. Now that's up for debate, right? But him being someone that you can track back in time as a historical person is astounding. I didn't know that, and I don't think a lot of people do, right? It's things like that that kind of blow my mind that I didn't know before. Now, am I religious? No, I would never say I'm religious or whatnot without truly believing it myself, right? I think that's disingenuous. I don't think that's right. Do I want to be religious? Not technically, but if I go down this rabbit hole and I keep learning, and I get more and more not convinced, right, but more of just like understanding it, then I feel at one point maybe I will. At this point in time, I'm not religious, but I just think if you're a person that is not religious at all, zero, sit down and think for a second. Why are you so repulsed by something that there's a lot of stuff in there that you probably agree with? And why has it been so hated in your view? Like, why do you hate it so much? Because a lot of people I talk about, they're like, oh, they get a disgusting taste in their mouth from wherever it is, and it kind of just blows me away. Like, huh? Like these guys ain't saying. I mean, there are some crazy things in the Bible, but for if you're talking about the core of it, it's pretty good stuff, So yeah, I wonder why. I guess I think if everyone was religious, a lot of places wouldn't be able to exist, right? And I think for that, greed wouldn't be able to exist, right? So rich people, right, to a certain degree, wouldn't be able to exist. People making money off of sex wouldn't be able to exist. Like you think about like Las Vegas, right? That is the whole point of that place is making money, having sex, doing drugs, drinking, all that type of stuff. That whole place wouldn't be able to exist if more people were religious or everyone was. And so these types of places where it's like, don't worry, just be yourself and do what you want. That's crazy, right? Do what you want, right? I think that's nuts. Like, alright, do what you want, right? But that doesn't mean that everything you do is going to be right. Like, if you had a kid and your kid always wanted an ice cream, you could always give them the ice cream because that's what they want, right? But does that mean it's good for them? Like, no, right? And I think a lot of people in this life are like living like you only live once kind of thing, and I should be able to do what I want, when I want, how I want. Fair enough, I get it. That doesn't make it good for you. If you always want to have sex, or you always want to do drugs, or you always want to drink, first of all, you probably want to question why you want to do these things so much constantly. And then also, is it good for you? Just because it feels good doesn't mean it is good all the time, right? Going to the gym sucks, sucks. But it is good for you. It allows you to have more energy, It allows you to have a clearer mind. It allows you to have a sense of accomplishment. I think like anything in life, everything needs to have a balance. If you don't have that balance, everything crumbles. I think is the most important thing personally for me. We as humans are flawed. Everyone needs to realize that. Every single person. Everyone is flawed in some way. And that's like okay. But it's better to work on those flaws than to just go, well, I'm perfect and I'm gonna go do what I want now. Because that's never gonna help. It's just gonna make you feel worse, probably. I think what I'm trying to say, as a person that is not religious right now, give religion a chance. Give it an open ear. You might not become religious, but you might learn something from it that might make your life a little better. You know, have you ever heard someone preach, and no matter what question they get asked, they can always kind of recite it back to or relate it to a story in the whatever they're talking about, right? It's amazing, right? And it's because there's so much religious text, right? And there's good people in there, there's bad people in there, there's good people that have done bad things, there's bad people that have done good things, and they all have a lesson. There's all lessons in there. And again, you don't need to become religious. You just might learn something though that might help you out with your life, right? And maybe you go back and you learn a bit more. It really is just it is a book of knowledge, right? And you know, however you look at it, it's not this bad thing, right? People have used these things for bad things. That doesn't make it bad. So don't be so turned away from it. In a world where most of us in certain countries we idolize money, fame, status, power, it's very hard to idolize or put God or Jesus or whatever you want to talk about, or Allah, on a pedestal and say they're the top dogs, because in most people's mind that doesn't do anything for them, right? It's all about them, and that doesn't do anything for them. What does do something for them is the money, the fame, the power. And yeah, it does in an instant, right? But let's say you follow one of the gods, the many gods that are said to be there. They might not give you something, tangible, but what they will do, what most scriptures will do, will change your soul. And a lot of the times, hopefully, if done correctly and really read through and really thought about what you're doing, a lot of the times that change of soul will be better. Will heal you, kind of thing. Not all people will agree with me, but if you just give it a chance, I promise you, like, honestly, there is a lot of good stuff in there. You don't have to agree with it all. You know, talking about good and bad, right? There's a person a few years back now, Andrew Tate, and I remember watching him and thinking, wow, this guy is a clown, right? Now, I was young, a little bit younger, and I definitely was a bit more judgmental, right? And let's just say this: I didn't like what he had to say, a lot of it, but there were some things that he did say, and I was like, okay, that's a good thing to say. Now, what the bad things he said didn't nullify didn't cancel out the good stuff, but also the good stuff didn't just cancel out the bad stuff, right? You need to weave your way through people's opinions and understanding of the world, because no one is going to get everything 100% correct all the time. I'm a big believer in that most people talk 99% rubbish, but the 1% they know what they're talking about, listen, because everyone has something that they really know what they're talking about. And I think it's important then to listen to that 1% of what that person's saying. right? You wouldn't go to a poor person for money advice, but you probably wouldn't go to a rich person for family advice, you know? So be able to weed around bad stuff and try and find the good stuff, because everyone has something worthwhile saying and is worth you listening to. I think the best thing that I've learned that would help the majority of people is this, is to not idolize money, fame and power. It's a scary place to be in. Making money is fine. Being famous is fine. You know, having some power is fine. But when you idolize it, when you put it above everything else, it's scary. And I see, personally for me, more and more of it every day, right? People, you know, you hear this term selling your soul, right? And people think it's actually selling your soul to the devil. It doesn't technically need to be that. It's just what selling your soul is, basically compromising who you are as a person to gain fame, to gain money, to gain power, right? Once you start questioning what you're doing just for these things, it gets scary. I think I see a lot of it, right? More and more every day, and it's scary. It really is. Personally, for me, I would rather be poor, be living on the streets, rather than compromising my morals. Now, I think I got lucky by learning that at a very, very young age, and not everyone's lucky enough, like myself, to have that been drilled into them at a very young age. But I do hope that people will learn the lesson that I learned. You know, because I think if I didn't learn that lesson young, I think I'd probably be the same, right? I probably wouldn't be any different from everyone else. I'd probably just be the exact same. And I feel that that sucks. So yeah, never compromise your morals and who you are to obtain these things. It's never going to be worth it. Ever, ever, ever going to be worth it. I promise you. It will. And that's why I feel like it's like your soul, right? Because you can get this money or power, whatever, and you can use it and you can spend it, but it's going to go at one point. But the soul, what you did for it, will always be there. Part of your soul's gone because you compromised yourself for it. I promise, your soul, no matter if you're religious or not, your soul is more valuable than anything on this earth. I promise you that. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Bye.